Lisa is a dynamic and engaging healthcare leader with a proven track record in both the private and public sectors. She's CEO of Healthcode Medical, a boutique functional medicine clinic in Vancouver, British Columbia, specializing in screening, early detection, disease prevention, and health optimization. Lisa has a deep understanding of the healthcare sector, rooted in a progressive career starting as a critical care nurse. Lisa is also a world-ranked distance runner with numerous podium finishes. Most recently, she was the 2022 winner of the Miami Half Marathon and placed second at the 2023 Vancouver Half Marathon. Lisa, welcome to the next level.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Our pleasure. So let's start here. Tell us the story of Healthcode. I know it was founded in 2019, so fairly recently, but I'd love to learn about the business, and just more broadly, would love to learn about functional medicine and how it fits into our longevity goals.
Mm-hmm. The business grew out of an organic need. We have one founder and angel investor, and he spent his years creating his wealth, but he didn't focus on his health. And it got to a point where there was a crossroads. And in order to ensure that he was there for his kids' graduation and, they're living a great life on his terms, he knew he had to focus on his health. And at that time, he was, going from one reactive base option to another. And he was on a lot of pills and then maybe losing 5 or 10 pounds here and there with a trainer, but nothing was sustainable. He was over 300 pounds on a 6'2" frame and heart disease and diabetes, and wasn't able to get life insurance. So very much needed to take charge of it. And he found functional medicine. And that very much gets to the root cause. It looks at you at the cellular level, and it really determines what is causing this weight gain, what is causing this heart disease and diabetes to run rampant. And by understanding the why, and then we can actually see in how it's happening, and then course correct through precision medicine. He's kept the weight off for 20 years, and he is the fountain of youth. And so I get the great privilege of, seeing this clinic really thrive. And it came out of an organic need, which I think is the best way. And through word of mouth, we are just seeing such great growth.
Well, that's incredible. And, to have such an amazing story of being able to achieve wealth, but along the way, lose your health, and then to be able to sort of take charge of that and be able to get back to a healthy lifestyle. I know you've talked about and think about health as an asset class, and it's such an interesting way to think about it. What does that mean? Break that down for us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, health as an asset class, similar to when you think of your financial well-being. You work with advisors and short and long-term goals because your financial goals are going to look different than the next person's. And so we take that same approach with healthcare. And what we're doing here with functional medicine, health optimization, and longevity is we are what is your short-term goals? What is your long-term goals? We don't want to assume anything. And so that's how we work with our clients. And we've been able to yield some great results. Health is very personal. So when you're able to transform someone's health and then they can live life on their terms, they're sharing that with their friends and their neighbors and their community. And we're really focused on doing right by patients. And in order to do that, we need to take an individualized approach.
Well, and talk a little bit more, if you would, about the individualized approach, because I think a lot of our audience, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, fellow leaders, right? Mm-hmm. And they're very accustomed to finding coaching in a lot of aspects of life, right? Professional business coaching, strategic coach is a big part, where Stephen and I, have spent a lot of, invested a lot of our energy to get that ongoing coaching. I think of coaching in the healthcare space as sort of like maybe a personal trainer, but that's obviously an incomplete view of it. So where does healthcare coaching or, coaching in the healthcare space, where does that intersect?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're certainly on the right track. So, as a high performance athlete, it takes a village to get me to the world stage, and winning these podiums while running is an individualized sport. It takes different therapists, being prehab, not getting injured, and navigating if you get sick. And so that same approach is really applied in what we do here. So when we think longevity medicine, we want to live to 100. We don't want to lose our health at 65. Okay, well, you're going to come in for that annual medical. We have a standardized piece to that. So we're going to do the cancer screenings. We're screening for Alzheimer's. We're screening for anything you're predisposed to. And then we're saying, okay, if you do have diabetes and heart disease, no worries. Let's rein and hone that in. And then what is your ultimate goal? And so we're very much marrying that together in your annual medical. So we have a standard piece, and we overlay a personalization, and that really enables us to hit the road running. And so in that, we have a longevity coach, health coaching, a nutritionist, and a whole medical team to say, okay, let's see what will work to give you that peak performance so that your body is running at a Ferrari. So you are that peak athlete. Our members are extraordinary entrepreneurs. They're high functioning individuals, and they're very good at their day job, and they're very good at what they do. But maybe they're experiencing some brain fog. And is it Alzheimer's? Is it long COVID? What's going on? Well, let's have a look at that and let's course correct. And so that's very much what we're doing. Is it's providing that support throughout the year, doing that repeat testing. But ultimately, it starts with knowing your body at a cellular level. Are there environmental toxins? Is there a high mercury level? Do you have mold? Like, what is causing your body to age quicker than your friends? And so in order to do that, to provide the appropriate coaching, you need a proper assessment. And that's what we do at Healthcode Medical.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned, being on the podium, the Ferrari, right? That approach to personal healthcare. And so you're serving as CEO of Healthcode, but simultaneously you're going and you're winning half marathons. You're placing at a really high level in half marathons. You've been on the cover of Canadian Running Magazine. So obviously you're living high achievement in multiple areas of life. What have you learned that allows you to execute at an elite level in several areas simultaneously?
Well, I desire a level of excellence out of everything I do. And so in order to do that, I need to keep myself accountable, but also monitor my progress. And so for me, it's recognizing that, okay, sleep, nutrition is just as important as running those miles. And so those skills are completely transferable. So it got me to run on the national team several years ago and having success at Pan Ams and World Championships, to now running on my own, entering races last minute, depending where my work takes me, still being invited into that elite field. It's a great honor to still be invited to just even compete at the front, and then still be able to deliver a quality result. And in order to do that, I need to make sure that I'm, applying a very holistic approach to my training. And so small things compound over time. I'm taking the stairs. I'm eating and hydrating well throughout the day. And my training looks different than, of course, when I was in my undergrad and master's degree. And when I was working 12-hour shifts on the front line. And you just have to be able to adapt and keep moving forward. So for me to have that mindset and grit in both athletically and running a company, it takes me to have health on my side in order to have that clarity and energy to achieve my goals.
So do you think it's the health that leads to the goals, or the goals that lead to the health? I'm curious how much vision for your future actually plays into the drive to play those things out on the field.
I think it goes hand in hand. Sometimes we're handed, our DNA, we may be handed a handful of cards in life that maybe we're predisposed to lots of issues, right? So that's your genetics. But then you have your epigenetics that turns those genes on and off. So by having that awareness of what you're predisposed to, and then you want to keep that gene at bay, then you need to adapt your lifestyle modifications. Movement's medicine, food is medicine. Those things are foundational, and they're not going away anytime soon. And so while I don't know how many more years of competitive running is ahead of me, I'm absolutely thrilled that I am achieving this level of success, as passing years. And you see that in other sports, in football and F1, where you're thinking, wow, these players are old. How are they still getting hit every day and recovering? So in order to have that turnaround and be able to play aggressively, they need to have health on their side. And in order to have health, it's not just on the outside, but also on the inside, those strong ligaments, strong bones, strong mindset. So it's, you need to have self-awareness of your body. And I'm just grateful. I'm very purpose driven, and it's important for me to have health throughout the decades. And I take a conscious effort to do that.
And so working with ultra high performers, why do you think sometimes people have blinders or a block on a vision for health plays into that?
Mhm. Well, I think we take it for granted. And how our minds are trained is, oh, if I need something, I go to the doctor and they prescribe me something. But just like antibiotics, you would only be on antibiotics for a week, maybe two. So if you're on an antidepressant and you weren't on it last year, are you on it this year for life? Or all of a sudden you need blood pressure medications and where you have high cholesterol. I feel society has been very accepting to, I guess I have to take this pill for life. And every year the prescription amount goes up versus saying, hey, doctor, do I need to be on this for very long? What can I do with my diet to not have that cholesterol buildup in my coronary arteries? And then that there is testing available to say, oh, you actually build up cholesterol more so than your family member because you carry this gene. So you need to stay away from cheese or stay away from certain types of food. And so I don't think people realize what they put in their mouth actually affects your skin, your brain function, the health of your bones and ligaments. I'm able to bounce back from injury quickly because I have a body that can rejuvenate well. And so people want that fountain of youth in terms of their skin. Well, that starts from your gut. And we really need to take care of our bodies because we only get one body. And all these organs, when we think of the brain, if we don't take good care of it, you can't transplant a new one. So you got to stay sharp. And in order to stay sharp, you need to have good blood flow up to your brain. You need to really focus on your brain. So it's unfortunate to see these executives really create their wealth, create this extraordinary company, and then they start slipping in terms of their memory or their health really fails. And then that becomes a priority in their life versus really reaping the rewards and all the sacrifice of the business they've created. The next decade should look even better. Like go heli skiing, go out and enjoy all these great things, these fruits of your labor, but you won't, and your world will come inwards if you're sick and if you're unwell. And really it's a freedom thing. If you want true freedom, you have to have health on your side or else you're not going to go somewhere without cell reception or near a hospital.
You had mentioned you kind of alluded to some of the broken patterns in Western medicine, like broken mindsets. What are some of the other ones that like we take for granted because we've grown up inside of a system that are holding people back?
Mm-hmm. We all grew up with certain ways of eating, just depending on what the knowledge of the day was. And so with technology advancing so much in testing and just this awareness around foods and how foods are processed and pesticides. And so this awareness is coming to the forefront. And I believe society doesn't really know what to do with it. And so, we were trained to, go to the doctor when we need something, we get on a prescription. Oh, now we need this hip replacement, now this knee replacement, open heart surgery. And I believe now there's more of this, society's kind of wondering like, well, gosh, like I don't want to do that. Can I course correct? And certainly we saw that in the pandemic where some people really suffered from COVID and others didn't. And so that's not going to be our last pandemic. And with the types of, foods and sedentary lifestyle that we're enjoying because of technology and things today, we certainly need to be more mindful of our bodies. And there's no reason for it. Really, we all have all this great wearables that can enable us to be our own agent of change, our own physician, where the physician's now serving and the team is serving as a coach. So you're walking away with the Oura Ring or the Fitbit, and you're trying to get those steps in. You're watching your heart rate. Your heart rate goes up. Maybe you're getting sick. And so where can we connect the dots for individuals so that they learn? Because we can say you need to wear a seatbelt, you need to wear a helmet skiing, and nobody likes to be told what to do. But if they understood the why, then most likely you're going to put a helmet on your kid because you understand what concussions can do. And now we're really understanding that in a very significant way. So it's the same thing with health. Now we know what these processed foods can do and pops and all these different things. It's once in a while, not every day. And once a family starts to embody that, that's really where they're making that change as a family. And that's how they live their life. It's a philosophy.
You mentioned the incredible technology that's available now. And I know that the intersection of technology and healthcare is something that a lot of our listeners are interested in. It's a big topic of discussion, and you know, sort of the entrepreneurial circles that we travel in. What role, maybe, and perhaps even you would be a good personal example of this, just in terms of the habits and sort of mindsets that you have. What role do just sort of consumer wearables play in the way that you think about training, about your healthcare? What are some of the things that we could learn from the benefits of having, you know, a watch or a ring, you know, that's tracking all of our different metrics?
Yes. Well, what an exciting time to be either wanting to take charge of your health or to want to achieve a high level in performance. Because you all remember when we first got on a bike that was aluminum, and maybe you had the little detector that the wheel went around, but if it wasn't close enough to the wheel, it wouldn't detect your speed properly in your distance. But ultimately you got out and did the effort. Well, now it shows wattage, and there's so much data that is coming back to us when we do these different sports. Same within running. And so I'm receiving all this data, and then also overlaying, okay, what does my sleep cycle look like? What does my heart rate look like? And not to, for the women out there, their cycles look like, and it all really informs the way that I train, and resets my mind in terms of, okay, this is more just a get it done day, or this is a hard effort day. And so what is so awesome, I think, is we're living in such an extraordinary time where we're getting that direct feedback. And so we don't need to wait till months later where we're seeing our body break down. We're already seeing it, and we can dial in those measures on our wearables to alert us. So that's just something from a performance standpoint. But there's also great technologies that are being embedded in the home. So if there was an individual who had heart disease, heart failure, they have to be very sensitive to their sodium levels. Well, now there's sensors in your toilet, and they can give you a printout that you have too much sodium or not, before you end up in a merge with your lungs and you're full of fluid and your feet all swollen. So as a nurse at heart, I just see this as totally being transformational, where patients can take charge of their health. And that will really improve the health of our nations, our kids, our youth, our adults, because they're not just on these pills, and then when they run into trouble running to emerge, they're now being able to see it, the tsunami coming beforehand, and course correct.
Yeah. And I think there's sort of maybe even a little bit of cynicism, because there's this disconnect between the potential of personalized care from all of this data. And I think so many of our experiences in the healthcare system has been that it's a pill for every ill, and you're lucky to get anything that's even, you know, thoughtful, let alone customized to you as the individual. I mean, does healthcare just not, you know, taking it back to the business perspective, does healthcare in our country not scale to be able to be personalized in that way? Is it something that is reserved for a different business model? Is it that the technology is ahead of the mindset of healthcare providers? Like, can you just take us into that?
Well, we're in the industrial age, no different than automotive. It took somebody bold and an outsider to create electric cars, and now we all reap the rewards of either a hybrid or electric vehicle. And so there's no shame in the system that was built. It was built under the mindset with the information they had. And there is extraordinary advancements in the ability to do surgery in a less invasive way now. We don't need to crack open that chest. Some of it can be minimally invasive to do a heart valve replacement, for example. But at the end of the day, it's still reactive. We are going in and fixing your body just like we fix a car. But maybe we should think, well, why is the car breaking down to begin with? And going back to another sport analogy, I don't know if you watch the F1 racing and such on Netflix, but the stakes are high. So if that car keeps breaking down for the same reason, you guarantee it, they're going to start solving it so they can win those races. And so why not see, whether it's the race of life, I want to be with my friends and family, fully engaged, enjoying these moments, cherishing all that we should be grateful for to live in the countries we do. But you can't do that if you're mood instability, or, if you don't have great energy, or you say no to opportunities because you're worried that, can I fit on the plane? Can I travel that long? And so whether you're focused on your personal life or as an entrepreneur, you can lean in. So to say, actually, I'm going to open up another business and I'm going to do this. And you can really lean into opportunities when you have that energy and that health. And so this is the time to take control. I I'm very interested in medicine, but, the med schools are still teaching in a very reactive based way, which I think, you do need to have clinical diagnosis and differentials. But I think there's an opportunity at the end for those meetings with the patient to say, I'm giving you this prescription, but I don't want to see it refilled. I really want to see you go and help with your mental well-being. And there's an app if you can't afford to see the practitioner or you don't have time. Like, there's so many ways now and it's been so democratized. Like, we just need a total transformation. Yes, the funding's going to shift. So the people that were creating the pharmaceuticals, where is there a way to then shift and support the new way of thinking, and it can still be monetized, and it's not all doom and gloom like people think.
What's the big, what do you think is the catalyst moment where it does shift? I mean, you've got so much energy built around sick care. You have all this new technology coming online. And like, sometimes it's hard to determine signal from the noise because there's just so much new and new technology on top of new technology. How do you know, when are people going to be able to discern signal from noise to be able to make good choices?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the space we live in. People are getting information off TikTok or great advertising around this new wearable or this new test, and it says that you have cancer or something like that. And so where's the credibility in the space? Where's the gold standard? Where's the quality assurance? And that's certainly a passion for me, and something I did at post leaving bedside was really supporting healthcare facilities in that exact mission. So where I see the wellness space and longevity space is there's just so much noise. But who's going to actually boil it to say, where's the standard? How are you adhering to it? What's actually working for people versus the money grab and quick wins? And so there certainly needs to be some policy around it. But I think it starts with our government officials acknowledging we know that food impacts, the quality of food that people are receiving, impacts the health. We think of children and what's being, distributed at these food clubs and, and breakfast clubs and such like that, or what's available in airports. And so I'm certainly excited about taking an airline that offers a poke bowl versus some stale cracker and that's high in sodium. So I think we're all becoming more conscientious in terms of the experience and how is this company contributing to my health. So if there was a hotel that was, mindful of the type of water that was available there, and they had different types of materials in their mattresses and such that was actually not more toxin, I would stay there. Maybe they offered IVs in their wellness center that was going to give me that boost of energy and wellness before my next board meeting. So the future is wellness. People, I believe, are going to move in different ways and stay at different places and vacation differently. And they want to know, hey, this is my philosophy and my core values. Do you align with that? Because that determines where I'm going to bring my family, where I'm going to plant my company flag and the expansion. And so just like we in the retail business with clothing, we want to know transparency. Where is the clothes being manufactured? Is it done in a safe way? Are the workers taken care of? I think there's going to be a huge uproar in the health and wellness space, as well as healthcare, to truly be transparent about this and just take ownership. Like, we want healthy nations. We want healthy support systems for our troops that go overseas. We don't want them littered with disease. And so we don't want something to happen to them because of the disease versus, the efforts that they're doing. So individuals going up to space, more so than ever, we're on some big missions in life to create a sustainable environment, a sustainable and healthy, peaceful world. If we don't have health on our side, all those efforts are going to be lost.
Do you see this then as continuing to be like an entrepreneurial-led endeavor, meaning that they'll be on the forefront of it? Because when I think I have friends with all different stages of life financially, and not all of them are in a position to care about the quality of food, for example. So do you see this as something that starts and then gets transformed throughout society?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I would say, usually it's people that are experiencing the disease and symptoms care, and then those that aren't experiencing it, it's not top of mind for them. But if we start with children and, do they need to be on ADHD meds? Do they have this? Or is it the food I'm feeding them? And is it the environment? And, we had one individual that had, significant brain function loss and memory. And it was actually just too much swordfish and a high mercury level, but was heading down a track that could have then led to permanent damage. And so again, we are all on, like, especially your viewers and our clients, they're on the move. They're moving and they're shakers and they're doing these different things. Okay, well, you need to be able to understand your body is giving you signals. If you don't know what those signals are, these wearables and these testing are going to give you those signals so that you can say, actually, I just need to get my health back on track. I do think it will be entrepreneurial led. I think it takes the government to create a standard and expectation to hold companies accountable, to ensure that they are providing the desired solution. If we're expecting, especially our lower social economic status, if they're going to start funding tools to help them, those individuals, then it needs to be something that's actually going to yield the desired results, not just somebody looking to get a contract and it doesn't actually work. It's just, doesn't bring it to fruition, doesn't actually have its desired outcome. So there needs to be some accountability attached to it.
So if we were to take all of this, modern healthcare, not being reactive, more personalized based on metrics, sort of this model that you've described, and presumably this is what Healthcode is looking, to deliver into the marketplace for your clients. Tell me just a little bit about ground level. What is the membership model, in healthcare? Because I know it's become increasingly popular as a business model. But if you could just kind of take us into that, what are sort of the expectations? How does it work? How do we know that one membership is a good membership versus another membership that's not going to be well suited to us? It's new, it's different, and I would love to hear it just as well from your business perspective. As leader of a business that's executing on this vision. Both from the consumer side, but also from your perspective as a leader in the space.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm very proud to lead this company. I live and breathe it, and I align completely with its core values. And I only hire team members who are also on that mission. And so we are a boutique offering. We are located in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So we're on the West Coast. And we service a lot of clients from the US, and many of them come from quite a distance in New York and Texas, California. And so why do they come to us? Well, we're doing something different, and we're really excited to just be doing something different. And we're not competing with anyone else. And so what makes us different is we're a platform. So we don't want to create partnerships with different blood tests for 5 years when things are changing so quickly. So we have blood tests that have been around for a long time that, have been tested and have that, recognition. But we're also bringing in new age testing. Do you carry the Alzheimer's gene? What about circulating cancer cells out of Germany? So we enact a global market. Just like you buy a car or something, a vehicle, from around the world, the whole world's trying to solve the same problems. Cancers, diabetes, heart disease, around brain health. So there's some exciting advancements happening. So what we do at Healthcode Medical is we bring in all that testing from around the globe. So we have a great catalog of options. We have amazing testing here capabilities in terms of imaging. That's not just looking for scary things like cancers and aneurysms, but it's also celebrating good things to say, Ryan, you got a great spine, healthy bones, good muscles. You get out on that football field. So we're also not just looking for, we're surveillancing for the top 9 of 10 cancers and surveillancing because we do know that early detection saves lives. We're also giving you a health status to say, actually, your body is 10 years younger. And not just from a youthfulness and energy, but also just from a musculoskeletal. And get back out there. And so you might think, man, maybe I will pick up that beer league or, that after hours hockey. And so our clients are seeing value because it's a standard medical, and then we're overlaying personalization. For the women front, menopause, family planning, what is happening in their life? How can we overlay that personalization? And so people are seeing value because our approach is different. We're not just bringing blood testing in from one country. We're not just approaching it through a narrow lens. It's very holistic. And We are a boutique offering, so it's very important to us that we are delivering on our promises to our clients. And if we're not, we have those connections to really understand like what we could have done better, how we can do better. And I think people are looking for that. They don't want to go to a run-of-the-mill operation that does good things, but they focus on volume, and we focus on quality.
Yeah, Lisa, this has been a fascinating and wide-ranging conversation. Thank you so much. A few things I took away from it that I really enjoyed. I mean, you're a living example. Your success, both leading in business, but also being on the podium, are a great example of small things compounding over time. I mean, you had really clear examples, keeping your hydration on schedule, taking the stairs when you can, but these are simple things that add up. And I thought that was just a great reminder for everybody listening. Medicine is biased to reactive care rather than proactive care. So, you use some examples like prescriptions too often become lifetime dependencies rather than part of an improvement plan for your health. And I thought that was really interesting. You've got experience, in the business you're leading now, that executives create these extraordinary wealth and companies, but they let their health slip along the way, and they don't, they're not in a position where they can reap the rewards of what they created. And I thought this mindset shift was really interesting. I think speaks to the folks who listen to our podcast. It's a freedom thing, right? To have true freedom, you have to have health on your side. And you use this image of, are you going to be able to be someone who can go somewhere without a cell phone, connection, right? Is your health in a place where you're confident to do that? I thought that was a really interesting sort of, question to ask myself. And the future is wellness. So for, our business owners, the future is wellness. Consumers are going to take their healthcare values into their buying decisions, into where they live, into what they consume, into their lifestyle. So thank you so much. I really thought it was a fascinating conversation. For our listeners, you can check out and learn more at healthcode.ca. And I was surprised to learn that 70% of their clients are Americans. So, as anyone who's visited Vancouver can tell you, it's well worth the trip up there and a great excuse to be in a beautiful place. So thank you again for joining us on the podcast. We really appreciated it.
Thank you.
Thank you both.